I'm whipping something foreign with expired tag, signing on the dotted line, whatever's gonna get the bag. Hey, guess the lyrics. Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to today's video. Today I'm reacting to 4 hugely scary horror stories animated by Martin Animations. Now this was actually my recommended. I actually never seen Martin Animations before. The only one I really seen for horror stories was Llama Arts. He does really good work. But this says hugely scary stories, so I'm like, bro, that's just clickbait right there. I need to check this out. Bait worked on me, bait will work on you guys. Thanks for stopping by the way. Since you're here, you might as well subscribe to the channel. Go in the link in the description, subscribe to my gaming channel while you're at it. But we are here, 4 hugely scary horror stories animated, Martin Animations. Came out about 2 hours ago, so I'm like, oh shit, this is a perfect time for a reaction video. And I'm going to be using my headphones, the new ones I just got. I made a video, unboxing, review, all that type of stuff. Link will be in the description, go check that out. I'll be using my Razer Kraken X's for this type of shit, because I feel like with horror stories, the audio, if they present good audio and good, like, I don't know, like surround sound, situational, like helps you picture the moment better, you know what I mean? Like it'd be like, and then I heard a knock at the door in here, like that type of stuff. Mr. Nightmare does it a lot. I really appreciate people who can do that. I mean, I know he's just animating other people's horror stories, but still, I'm gonna be putting on the headphones for this. So yeah, Martin Animations, 4 hugely scary horror stories animated. Let's jump on into it.
I work summers as a camp counselor in the northern parts of Ontario, Canada.
Ooh, Canada, let's go.
On the date this particular incident occurred, I was camping with a group of 10-year-old boys on the same lake the summer.
Little sus, alright? Starting off, I've never heard of your channel before, bud, and you're gonna add a story like that? Little sus. And I don't want to criticize your work already, but the big guy, his hair looks like a vampire, and they are fucking ugly. That looks like a little immigrant, like Puerto Rican coming in, that like Frankenstein slash Dracula slash Quasimodo decided to help cross the border. I don't know. It looks fucking crazy.
Summer camp was based on. So like a routine camping trip, we canoed out to the site and set up our tents. Me and my co-counselor Mike take turns supervising the kids while they swim, build forts, and play games, etc. We cook some food over the fire, sit around and tell stories, cook s'mores, the typical Canadian camping experience. Around 9:30ish, I tell the kids it's time for bed, and they head into their tents, which were positioned a small walk away from the shoreline, but still in line of sight from where we had the fire pit.
Yeah.
So the kids have gone to bed, and me and Mike are talking by the water, smoking a cigarette, just basically hanging
Those are big ass
out
cigarettes.
before we decide to head into our tent and call it a night.
That's the only thing I hated about camping trips, you know, like, especially, or like when your school would go on a field trip, like we did that with Tim Hortons camp, speaking of Canada shit. Tim Hortons camp in like grade 5 or something, we went on a trip, Tim Hortons camp, for like 3 days. The only thing I hate about going to camps like that is that the fucking bedtimes are unbelievable. Like, they're like, yeah, it's time to go to bed. 6:30 is supper, 7 o'clock is bedtime, and we want you up by 4 a.m. ready to go. Like, the sleeping schedule is fucking crazy that they expect you to do.
What happened next still troubles me to this day and remains my go-to scary campfire story. We were both gazing into the pitch-black night water when we saw a small light approaching us slowly and slightly above water level. We speculated what it could possibly be for a few minutes before it came close enough for us to see that it was mounted on the front of a kayak and that someone was approaching our campsite. Now, it is important to note that as a camp counselor, part of our training goes over how to deal with stranger encounters in an environment where we are responsible for a group of children on public property. I was prepared to give the mystery paddler the typical speech about how we are camping with a group from a recognized organization, and we would respectfully ask that they find another campsite. However, this person's appearance shook me to the bone as the light drew nearer. Paddling this kayak was a woman who looked to be in her 60s. She had incredibly long wisps of gray hair that was trailing in the water.
That's a witch
her skin
right there.
Looked like old leather, and her dead-looking eyes were tough to spot under all her wrinkles.
I don't think my grandmother's ever been to Ontario.
She looked directly at me, and when she spoke, I realized she was missing most of her teeth.
Yeah, my grandmother can pop hers out.
She asked me,
what?
Pointing in the direction of the tents. Not really knowing how to respond, and quite frankly, terrified, I responded by telling her that they were fine and that she had to leave. That's good. Just as expected for this time, she said with a smile, then turned her kayak and paddled off into the night. At this point in time,
right there, I'm leaving, or I'm changing camp locations, because all the stories I've heard is that the people are stupid and they decide to stick around. You don't want to stick around after a creepy lady like that decides to come up and just talk. Ask if the kids are asleep. You know what I mean? Like, how do they know you're camp counselors? How do you know you're with kids? How do you know, like, how do you know these things? Why are you asking if the kids are asleep? Like, what the fuck? You change camp locations, or you decide, say, fuck it, we're going to a different thing of woods. We are not staying at this place. We are moving on. And that'd be the smart decision to make. As a camp counselor, I will make the executive decision to say, all right, little bastards, get up. We're moving. Some creepy lady that looks like she has epilepsy is fucking deciding to follow us, so might as well move.
Myself and Mike were legitimately
once she gets a crack in her,
out,
she's
only
going to be invincible.
Of this mystery woman who resembled a corpse, but also her inquiry on the whereabouts and safety of the kids that we had brought on this trip. Not knowing what else to do, we grabbed our hunting knives and sat by the fire after checking on the kids. Half an hour later, across the lake, a female counselor was leading another trip for kids the same age group.
There's a big screen.
She sent me a text, which read something along the lines of, "Hey Sean, stop messing with us. This isn't funny. My kids are really creeped out." I instantly called her and let her know that I had just seen someone near my campsite that seemed eerie, and that I was not trying to play a joke on her. Apparently, one of her kids had opened their tent door to go to the bathroom and saw a woman with long gray hair standing a few feet away with her arms outstretched towards them.
This is not a good time for an ad. What the fuck?
A few years ago, I lived in my car.
Is she looking for a hug?
I was fresh out of college and overwhelmed with student debt. And being young, dumb, and 21, I thought car living was a good way to save money. I live in Southern California, so the rent is high and the weather is temperate enough to make this possible year-round. One night, I decided to park in a neighborhood.
That's why I see so many homeless people chilling in California, because the weather permits them to just sleep on the side of the street all night long, because it's hardly ever cold or rainy or all that type of stuff down there. And if it's ever raining outside, they probably just go into McDonald's for a little bit, buy some food. I mean, shit, might as well.
Knew well. It was right by the beach and a couple blocks next to an ex-boyfriend of mine, so I felt safe there, as I had walked the streets at night plenty of times. I parked, locked the doors, hung up the curtains so no one could look in, plugged in my earplugs so the cars passing wouldn't wake me, and fell asleep. Now my earplugs were effective, but crappy, and I could always count on them falling off in the middle of the night. I actually preferred this because it meant I could fall asleep, but still hear my phone alarm in the morning. It was about 2 a.m. when I woke up to my earplugs already have fallen off, and something feeling wrong. Odd scratching noises were coming from the window. It started at the passenger.
People are amazing, you know that? Your subconscious is fucking crazy. Like I was talking about this with sleep paralysis. Everyone's subconscious is something else. It is fucking unbelievable. Like, how you can sense when something's wrong. Like, you ever just been sitting at home, you're home alone, just by yourself, and then all of a sudden you're just like, and you pause the TV or whatever you're doing, you pause it and just listen because something felt weird. Most of the time you're just tripping because you're home alone. You're creeped out already. But sometimes it's not, and your senses just saved you because you're like, fuck it, like, people's senses are crazy. Something else, you know what I mean? That's why I think I think there's a study that shows humans only use like 65% of the brain. I think the other 45% has something to do with other 35%. Sorry, my math is off real quick. But the other 35% has something to do with like how mediums are able, or psychics are able to see the future and all that type of stuff. If we had our full brain capacity opened, I feel like we could all do that. You know what I mean? It's only some people that have the special ability to have their brain opened a little bit more than others, you know? But like that little piece of our brain that is closed off, sometimes it'll do wonders. Like you can just sense something's wrong. Like humans are unbelievably talented, and our brains are something else.
Side door, and then moved to the back seat doors. I froze, unsure of what to make of it.
Why are you driving on that side?
Painfully aware that I leave my windows slightly cracked at night for ventilation. I honestly didn't know what to do, so I stayed frozen, trying to make sense of it all. That's when the flashlight turned on.
Oh.
And some man unmistakably was shining his light in, trying to find a crack in the curtains. And to my horror, he found one and shined it right where my face was. It's hard to explain, but the position of my head made it so I could piece together what was happening, based on the light everywhere. But he couldn't see my eyes. The scratching then continued, and I knew I was screwed. This went from potential attempted car theft to someone knowing I was in the car. I was literally paralyzed with fear.
Are you not in the driver's seat? You pulled up there. Just fucking leave.
However,
in the baseball bat.
College, I took a class called RAD, which stood for Rape, Aggression, Defense, and remembered the #1 rule: yell confidently and confrontationally at the man. I wish I could say I screamed something truly bad, but what left my lips was a loud, aggravated, and forceful "Excuse me." It was super lame, but it echoed. To my immense relief,
he's just like, okay, Karen, get out the car, you know how this works.
I hear the sounds of his footsteps running away at top speed. But I kid you not,
Jesus.
The man was laughing as he ran, like it was some kind of game. I was still paralyzed, but eventually, him running gave me the courage to get up, grab my bat, and shove my way to the front seat, where I started the car and sped away. I didn't
Wait, you're sleeping in the back seat? Why don't you just, like, sit in the driver's seat and recline the bitch all the way back, like, instead of just laying down in a crammed back seat? Like, what? You could, and then that way, if someone comes along, you can leave and drive a lot quicker, like...
Him, and I spent the night at a friend's house. I live in an apartment now. It wasn't until the next morning I realized I had parked 1 block away from a bar, and, at the time of the incident, the bar had just closed. When I was 12, I remember one Friday night.
What the fuck does that have to do with anything? I mean, do you mean like it closed down, or it closed so like some creepy drunk motherfucker came out and, you know, something bad would have happened? You know, like, I thought if she meant like, I just realized the bar closed down for good a while ago. Like, what the fuck difference does that make? And who really cares if the bar, like, that's not creepy. Like that's just what happens, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, it took me a week to realize that I parked outside of a bar. So that means there was a drunken man outside my car. That's a shitty way to end the story, bro. I would have just ended, like, if you're gonna end it with that pizzazz, you gotta end it with an actual scary, creepy fact. That's just useless information that nobody really cares about. It doesn't make the story any more scary. In fact, it makes it less scary. Bitch. Here's a thought, though. She was like, I was backed up with college debt. I just finished college. I was living in my car, struggling. Oh my god, what should I have done? I was like, well, you did just finish college. Maybe look for a fucking job. You like, Jesus.
And there's no way that I could ever forget it. My older brother and I were picking up snacks and drinks at a little convenience store for a party that we were holding that night.
And that's gang.
My brother had me wait in the car while he ran inside to get the chips and whatnot. This happened in the 90s, so cell phones were not really a thing yet, especially for a 12-year-old. I remember abruptly looking up and seeing
Wait,
a
in the
man's
90s, see, like 12, let's say this was in 95, he was 12 years old at the time, so that means he's like 38 now. It's always fascinates me to hear the time, place that these stories happen, because it, like, all these stories came out in the same time, this video, and some of them are like, this happened 1 week ago, this happened a year ago, this happened in the 90s, you know what I mean? It's fascinating to hear the stories and hear the setting, that, like, how it's being set up and all that type of shit. It always fascinates me how old these people are and how good their memory is on the situation, because it always sticks with them because of how, like, scary it is.
Face peering into the window, inches from mine. He
Oh,
had
that's a
glasses
Kevin. That's
on
a Kevin.
and looked
Or
intelligent,
he's transgender.
but creepy. He smiled, and it was obvious right then that there was something very off about him.
Oh, I didn't like that. I didn't like that look. I didn't like that look.
He said hello, and then asked my name. I gave him a false name,
Joe?
and then he said that his name
Mama?
was John. I gave a nervous and forced smile, and it became increasingly awkward.
Fuck off.
I looked past the man, hoping to see my brother walking over to the car, but I was filled with disappointment. He was still inside the store. The man...
Don't you hate it? Like, whenever something, like, that gives you social anxiety or something, like, bad like that, when you're just chilling in the car, whenever you see something like that happen, if that's always when your parents or your siblings take the longest time in the store, or, like, if this ever happened, this happened to me a lot of times before, like, I'll just be chilling in the car, my mom goes in to go to the convenience store to grab, like, a thing of milk, and she takes so long in there, you start to wonder, is someone robbing the store? That's why she's staying so long. She's held captive in there. Like, that's what I think about. Like, sometimes people take so long and it's just fucking, like, my brain, like, races. It's funny.
The man, or John, as he said his name was, then asked me if I lived nearby. This was such a red flag that I was almost speechless.
No.
And just replied,
I live in Antarctica.
Not really. He kept a very creepy smile the entire time.
That's a smart 12-year-old.
I looked over his shoulder again, and thankfully, saw my brother walking towards the car. Just then, John tried opening the door. Thank the Lord it was locked. I don't remember locking it, but you can bet your ass that I was glad that it somehow was locked. I didn't have time to react, and John immediately walked away after the door didn't budge. My brother walked up seconds later and asked who the hell that was. I was shaking and told him that I had no idea. Nothing else happened that night, and the party was great. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't help but think that this guy was trying to kidnap me.
Really?
However,
I would want to party right now.
About 2 years later, I saw the guy on the news. He was captured and sentenced to death for murdering 3 teenage boys. Sound unbelievable? Trust me, I have trouble believing it myself. 30 years. I'm from Belfast, Ireland.
Well, just fucking cut off.
I have
what
a
the
large
fuck?
friend group, and we would always have sleepovers at my house. This is
bro.
the story of how...
If he's from Ireland, I want you to read this in an Irish accent. That like, if they're from somewhere like Sweden, Ireland, Scotland, France, I want you to read it. You can still read it in English, just read it in an accent, you know what I mean?
One campout and my back garden went wrong. I live in a nice neighborhood, mostly with old people in it. It was around Easter, and in my school, we get a week and a half off for Easter break.
What?
Just before school ended,
We get a weekend.
we decided to have a camp
long
out
one.
in my back garden
3 days.
because I recently got a new tent that could fit probably my whole friend group into it. It was the Saturday after we finished, and we all met up at my house around 7 o'clock. We ordered pizza, made marshmallows around the fire,
Why are you
and
kissing
all
the
in
pizza,
all,
bro?
we had fun.
Oh, yeah.
At around 12:30 a.m., we all decided to crawl into the tent and play some card games, as it was getting quite cold outside. I dealt all 13 decks, and we began a game of Jack Change It. After around 5 different
What?
card games, we all ordered some food and climbed into bed to
That
wait for
eerie
the food to
whistle is
arrive.
creeping me out.
We got a text message saying that it would be there in around 40 minutes, so we all could relax for a while. The food came, and we all went outside to sit around the fire and eat it.
Are you stoned? How are you eating
I have
that
a
much?
large back garden, and we were at the bottom of it, so we weren't afraid of waking my parents up by singing and talking loudly. After finishing our food, we got back into the tent and decided to get some rest. When everyone had drifted off to sleep, I was awoken by a strange sound. A sort of whistling sound. I brushed it off as being me dreaming.
Hey, fun fact,
but around 2 minutes later, there it was again.
That's all I can do.
Every 2 minutes, it happened. I woke up my friend and told her to listen. Right after I said that, there was a different kind of whistle.
Do you see that right in the window?
It came from the other side of the tent.
Someone just walked by it. Oh, did it again.
This was when we decided to wake everyone else up. After around 10 minutes of listening to the whistling going back and forth, we heard footsteps coming from behind the tent.
We decided to go clap.
The crunching of leaves made us all fall still. We counted to 3 and broke out of the tent sprinting.
Bro, it's one against 3.
All of us ran as fast as we could to the back door. Once we were all in, we locked it and looked out the window. We could just barely make out 3 people standing in the garden looking up at us.
3 against 3, never mind. Damn. I was just sitting there like, you're probably like wondering where I got all this confidence from, because this time I was like, I'm usually fight or flight in these situations. I'm usually flight, but I was there like, fight his ass, beat the fuck out of him. Oh my god. Oh shit, yeah, if it was just one guy walking around, yeah, all 3 of you go out there and just kick his ass, you know what I mean? And don't come back again, that type of shit. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, subscribe. Any other videos you want me to react to, like music, random videos, leave in the comments down below. I'll try to get around to doing it. And if you want me to react to your videos, leave in the comments down below. Here's a little thing though. If you try and promote yourself in my comments, this is what happens on everyone's YouTube channels, you know what I mean? If you try to say, hey, can you react to my video? Sometimes it will get held for review. It'll get held because it's likely spam. That's what they say, because it's like people just promoting things so they think it's bots and all that type of stuff. Or if your comments get repetitive, they think you're bots, all that type of shit. So it'll say likely spam. So if you want me to promote or watch, react to one of your videos, you can go ahead and leave it in the comments, but try and word it in a way that doesn't sound like, hey, can you react to this? Can you react to this? Can you react to this? Or don't drop a link. Links will usually get like lost in the fucking held for spam shit. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, subscribe. Gaming channel is in the description down below. I'm going to be filming a video later today with these headphones, testing out the mic on them. If you want to check that out, link is in the description for the gaming channel. Go check that out. I'm saying check that out a lot. And follow me on Instagram at Braden Stanford. Link is in the description as well. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, and peace.